Jack Thunder and the Fragments of Anima, Book 7, Null. Chapter 2, Harlequin's Repose. Buckthorn hastily packed her bags. As much as she dreaded this mission, she wouldn't want to miss it for the world. If Son's words were true, the fate of Alterus was resting on this one last adventure. The reef siren glanced one last time around the room. Was there anything she missed? She didn't want to forget anything important. Not now. The sea stone throbbed around the siren's neck. At least that was in place. Buckthorn wondered how the others were doing, especially Shadowpaws. Buckthorn glanced over to the Nekomata, who was busily packing a large backpack. His mouth was held in a flat line, unemotional. Buckthorn suspected he might be more nervous than he let on. But he'd managed to come through in their battle against Grimhide, so what was she so worried about? Finally, he slipped a water bottle into the bag and stood up. He turned to her, his eyes hardened and unreadable, but his third eye crystal faintly flickering in the middle of his forehead. The two met each other's eyes and nodded. They made their way into the front room, where the others were preparing for their journey. Son and Frosty had already finished and were standing by the front door. Jack Thunder and Kirami were also ready. The former held Stormbringer close to his chest, while Kirami had Yuki sheathed to her side. The only two left were Saturn and Snodder. Snodder hastily threw her things into her pack, trying to keep her temper as Saturn blathered on about his trip to the Garnet Palace. "And guess what I found?" Snodder sighed, exasperated. "What?" "I found a whole chest full of garnet jewels. How about that?" "Wow, a chest full of garnet in the Garnet Palace. I never would have guessed." Snodder zipped up her pack. Saturn did the same. Kirami gave Snodder a sideways glance. Saturn may have been annoying, but did the fairy snail really need to lay it on so thick? Snodder stared back at her in confusion. What? What did I say?" Kirami shook her head. Snodder would never get it. She opened her backpack, checking its contents one last time. Water, check. About 30 packs of peanut butter crackers, check. Alteria's spellbook, wait. Where was it? Ah, right here, check. Looked like everything was ready. They made their way outside, past Mount Tempest and all the way to the edge of the island. Jack Thunder made his way to the front of the group. World's End was even closer now. Through the dismal cloud cover, he could still recognize the volcanoes in the distance. He lifted Stormbringer in the air, chanting, "Powers of rain and summer storm, I beseech you. Split the skies open and draw down a bridge of colors. Cast it from here to the land of World's End." At the Storm Gremlin's command, a rainbow once again emerged from Jack Thunder's staff. It leapt off the edge of the island, down towards the land below. But as it made its way to the surface, a sudden fierce wind blew it off course. It bent and twisted out of shape, trailing away from the land of World's End. Finally, the other end snapped off of Stormbringer, landing at the crew's feet. As the team slid downwards, they quickly realized what had happened to the rainbow. Their path sharply diverted, nearly throwing them off as they were sent sliding in the opposite direction. They spiraled downwards in a tight loop without rhyme or reason. They could only hope they made it down safe as they careened towards the ground below. At last they made their landing. Despite the dizzy trip downwards, Son managed to land on his feet somehow. Saturn wasn't so lucky. He landed in a nearby fountain, kicking up a huge splash as he hit the water. He stood up, snorting and shaking the water out of his feathers as he stepped out of the unicorn-shaped fountain and onto the paved cobblestone below. The rainbow dissolved into nothingness. Surveying the scene, Jack Thunder could see that they had landed in the central square of Harlequin's Repose. The small, lively art town teemed with gremlins of all races, mostly Harlequin gremlins, but Jack Thunder could spot short forest gremlins, impish Hades gremlins, and even sun gremlins with soft white wings making their way around town. By how they were mulling about, it was just business as usual. Nothing about how they were acting indicated what would happen in only a few hours' time if the crews didn't step in. Jack Thunder sighed. This was not good. Between Harlequin's Repose and World's End lay a vast, imposing barrier known as the Thornback Mountain Range, an impenetrable wall that kept anyone outside it from getting into World's End. It was the one thing stopping the corruption that had infected World's End from leaching into the lands surrounding it, including Harlequin's Repose. Flying over them wouldn't work either. The peak's treacherous winds wouldn't just blow them away. Now he and his friends would need to find a way over the mountains too, and fast. He turned to San, who appeared oddly calm. What should we do? The Tengu turned back to Jack Thunder. You know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to pick up some more supplies while we're here. Anima knows we'll need everything we can get, San replied. I'll ask around and see if there's an easier way over the mountains. We'll meet back here at 11. Jack Thunder nodded as Razor leapt onto his shoulder. The crew exchanged a brief look before parting ways. Jack Thunder and Buckthorn went west, Snotter and Kirami went south, and Saturn and Shadowpaws went north. San and Frosty made their way east, searching for anyone who could tell them how to get past the Thornback Mountains.